All right, so let's get started on creating your first LibGuide. So we're currently on the home screen. So I'm going to add a top box. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a box. So everything fits inside of a box. So I usually just call the box something that I will remember. And so in this case, I'm going to call it banner database test. And like I said in the previous video, I like the floating box. That means that there is not going to be a border and a label at the top of the box. That is the way that I prefer to create my boxes. So now I need to add the thing inside of the box. So I traditionally use the rich text HTML. You can use any of the other types. Media widget is going to be something like the database for your library catalog. So that might be something that's embedded. But again, everything that you can do in rich text and HTML. So that's usually the one that I tend to use. So it should look very familiar. It kind of looks like a very simplified version of Google Docs and like many other web editors that are out there. So source, if you were to use some embed code, that's what you would do. You just paste in the source. That'd be like that wonderful gobbledygook that you see on like a YouTube video or something like that that says share. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go to the image icon, which is right here. I'm hovering over it with my mouse. I'm going to click on that. It's going to basically ask me where the thing is, the image is. And so you're basically going to have to upload that image that you want to be the banner. And so I'm just going to grab one. And so this is what it looks like. You'll notice that I have 420 files, and that's because I've uploaded a lot of files into LibGuides. You will probably have 0 the first time that you go in. So I'm just going to upload a new image. And there is that banner right there. I am just going to give it a new name before I do that. And I would highly suggest that you are very deliberate in the names that you give things, because then it just will help later on if you decide to make more than one LibGuide. I have found it to be the case. Funny story, I was working on one for a district, and I just uploaded another banner. And what happened is that the first district that I had worked on, it was called the same file name, so it put that district's new banner on there. So I got a furious email from one of the librarians that said, "My banner is wrong." And I was like, "Yep, made that mistake." So it's important to be very deliberate in your naming scheme. Okay, so once I have uploaded it, it kind of looks like this. And then you can actually give it a width and a height. I always keep that little lock ratio locked, because that's going to keep the image size and proportion. I don't really use it on the banner. I just let the banner be as wide as it's going to be. You can also add a link, and we'll do that more when you're going to do icons for your databases. So there it is. And then I just save and close, and then there is the banner. So if I was going to add in the library catalog, I could do it again as a rich text HTML, and I could add it in. Now I'm also going to add the bottom box, and that's going to be my contact banner. And again, I'm going to do the floating box. And then I'm going to add the rich text HTML, go to image, browse the server, upload an image. Again, I'm going to rename that item because I want to be very deliberate, because I have a lot of images. And I'm going to open it up. And again, I don't really care what size it is now. You'll probably notice the last time and this time that it really looks terrible. And it always does in the preview. Okay, and so that is that. Now the thing that I also have to do on this one is that I actually have to go in and I have to put the email address in. I forgot to do that. So to edit any of our boxes, it's going to be this icon right here, right under whatever your object is. And then it'll bring me right back into here. I'm going to select the image, click the link button right there. And I am going to change URL to email. And then I can just put an email address in. And then I also usually put a subject line of database question. So then I know that this is coming directly from the LibGuide. And so then I just click OK and I save and close. And now this, when I click on it, will open up an email program. All right, so then our next thing that we have to do is we have to decide how many columns are we going to want. And so how we do that is we go up to layout in this gray bar kind of in the top, and we decide what we want to do. Now I tend to use either the 4 columns, depending on how many items that I have, or use 33333, so the 333s. Or if I'm doing a high school version and I want to do the tabs, then I'll do the 2575. So for this beginning one, this first one, I'm going to do 33, 33, 33. And so it's going to update the columns, which is great. And just like we did with these top 2 items, we have to add our boxes. So I tend to put each of my databases into a separate box. You don't have to. I just find that it works easier for me. So I'm just going to call this one Voki, and it's going to be my example one. Again, I'm doing the floating box. And now I'm going to add the object in. The process is exactly the same, except I am going to grab an existing image that I have. And so I just search for it in my root folder. So once you have a bunch of objects in there, then you can do this. So now this is really, really large. Now I can decide to do it 250. And I also am going to want to center it. And I also want to link it. So I just double clicked on that right now and I can go to link. I always set the target to new window blank. That means that when a student clicks on the icon, it's going to open it up in a new tab. And I like that. You might not like that. So I just basically am going to get the URL. I happen to know the URL of this one by heart. But what's really nice about the links that you have procured are that they have embedded logins in them. And if you need help getting your embedded logins for your websites, please let me know. All right, so now there it is. Maybe I don't like that size. And I can just easily go in, double click on it, and I could do the full size by not selecting, putting any width or height in. So now it takes up the entire box. So what does that look like? I can click on the little eyeball and put in my password. And it's going to show me what it looks like so far. So you might decide that that Voki is just really, really too big, and we can edit that. We can just go underneath that icon, edit, double click on it, and bring it back to 250. Save and close. I'm just going to refresh. And then maybe we like that size a little bit more. Maybe we want it smaller. I don't know. You could also put like a label at the top that's like a banner, a small banner that said like ebooks, and then you could list all of your ebooks down below. I mean, really, the options are really pretty large for what you can do. You really are limited by your imagination. So I'm going to get rid of that one. And in order to get rid of any box that I have, I just click on the little X, and then it just wants to make sure that you want to get rid of it. And I just got rid of it. So now I'm back to my 3 columns. I'm now going to create the 2575. Oh no, everything's messed up. It's totally okay because we can rearrange things by going to page and then going to boxes. We can actually click and drag things around. And now if I save, I just clicked my little boxes, which are my banners. That's why naming your boxes is very, very important so that you know what they are. There we go. Now we're back to the way that it used to be. We're good to go. And we have our 2 columns here. So I usually use column 1, much like I would use it as we just created it, just putting icons there. I tend to put a Sora one right there and Noodle Tools because those tend to be items that are used no matter the class. So now I'm going to show you how to create that tabbed kind of high school, upper middle school database situation. So now the box name, I usually just call it databases. And then the type is going to be tabbed. And you can play around with these different types and see if there's one that you really like. I tend to just use standard and tabbed. Those are the ones that I prefer. And again, I'm going to do a floating box. You don't have to, but I don't like all that stuff around it. So now that I've done that, it tells me exactly what I need to do to create a content for the specs. I need to use the gear icon. Now I can just decide what I want. So I usually do ebooks. And then I do social studies, English, math, science, media, and I think that's I usually do more than that, but this looks good to go. And because I am just a little bit extra, I definitely put them in alphabetical order because I just can't help myself. Yep, math looks good. All right, so now I have to always save positions whenever I make a change. And then I close, and then there I go. I have my English, math, media, science, social studies. Now again, everything is in boxes. So I have to create my box again. Now when I'm creating it within the grid, I tend to put all of my icons into just one of these rather than creating multiple ones. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to go to my image. And I already have these images, so I'm just going to grab them. But you would have to upload your images the first time. So I'm going to do ebooks. So there we go. There's Britannica ebooks. And then this is really, really big. So I usually do 150 pixels. So this is all pixels. Okay. And I also would have to link it. I'm not going to do that right now, but I would also have to link it to the actual link for Britannica. I usually do a space between them. And then I just grab my next one. So I might put all of my icons in first before I link them, or I don't. It just kind of depends on my mood, what I'm doing. Changing that to 150. Again, a space. Put in my next one. Again, you would just have to upload whatever ones that you want. I think I'll grab Sora as well. And again, 150. And then I think I'm going to center all of them. Okay, so then that's what it looks like. So each one of these I would need to link. And so then maybe I go to English, and I also put Sora in there. Maybe for science, I put Discovery Education. Side note, Discovery Education actually has content for each one of these. So I would put Discovery Education in each one. So it's like whatever you think that your people are going to use, what databases are going to use, you put in here. So again, what I did was I created a tabbed box. I chose the tabs that I wanted, and then I added a rich text HTML, and then I started adding the icons in. Now, if you're somebody that really wants descriptions of your databases, you absolutely can do that. You can actually create a table. And so I'm going to do 2 columns, 3 rows. And so I could put in my icon again. So I'll just do Sora. A little different version of Sora. Okay, and then I could put ebooks in fiction, ebooks and audio, ebooks, and fiction and nonfiction. And so you could put a description of each one of your databases if you wanted to. Definitely can do that. That's just not the kind of format that I had chosen to do. But I mean, again, it's whatever format that you think that is going to be the most helpful to the people that are going to use this. Okay. So we have home, but maybe you want to have multiple guides. Maybe you want to have multiple pages. Maybe you have a class that's coming in that you want to have a tab for, like Mr. Smith's social studies class, and you want to create a guide for that. You can totally do that by clicking this plus button, and you can actually just create another tab. You could have one for each grade level. So 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. And so then you have each of the teachers have their own. I know it's an old-fashioned term, but I kind of think of them as like pathfinders, that you can add resources that aren't just databases. For one school in particular, I added the Internet Archive on there, and I added ProCon because ProCon was purchased by Britannica. So it's a free resource, but it's a resource that my students were using, or the students in that school are using. So you can add whatever items that you want to. You can create icons for whatever you want to. If you use Checkology, I think I have a Checkology icon in there, but just really think about what this could kind of be for you, a hub, whatever it is that you want it to be. So that's about it for this video.